Is toxic love so bad? Why does it feel like we both empower each other by challenging our biggest fears? Well, to start with, I remember the first time I realized our love wasn't normal. It wasn't the soft kind of love you read about in poetry. It wasn't gentle, patient, or easy. It was fire, untamed, uncontrollable, and sometimes dangerous. But here's the thing, I didn't want easy. Neither did he. I wanted someone who could stand in my storm, and he was the only one who ever did. Imagine this, you're in a storm, not outside but inside yourself. This person, the one you love, is the eye of the storm. They shake your world, they tear you apart, but the moment you step away, it feels like something inside you collapses. And here's the paradox, this storm is the very thing that makes you feel alive. Now here's the million-dollar question, if something makes you feel so alive, even if it's painful, is it really all bad? Or does it serve a deeper purpose? Check one, check two, check. Why are we talking about it today? Love isn't always a fairy tale. Many of us have experienced relationships that felt like battlefields, where love and war coexisted in the same breath. But despite the chaos, we stayed. Why? Because it felt real. Because it pushed us, shaped us, and maybe, just maybe, made us stronger. Take the example of Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. Their love was volatile, filled with betrayals and heartbreak. Yet, their struggles fueled some of the greatest art the world has ever seen. Their pain was the brushstroke behind masterpieces. Even in psychology, attachment theory explains how some people thrive in tumultuous relationships because they unconsciously seek the intensity they experienced in childhood. Some relationships reflect our deepest wounds, and maybe, just maybe, that's how we heal. We hear the term toxic love and immediately associate it with negativity, but what if we're missing the bigger picture? What if, instead of destroying us, it's actually building us in ways we never imagined? Let's break this down. One of the most famous frameworks that helps explain this dynamic is Dr. Harville Hendricks's Imago theory. From his book, Getting the Love You Want, he suggests that we are unconsciously drawn to partners who reflect our deepest wounds and unresolved childhood experiences. This means that relationships that challenge us the most aren't random, they are designed to heal us. What does this mean for toxic love? It means that when two people repeatedly trigger each other's deepest fears, it's not always about pain, it can be about growth. So, is there a way to make sense of all this chaos? Let's turn to Carl Jung's concept of the shadow self, the parts of us we suppress. The idea is simple. Sometimes we're drawn to people who embody our fears, weaknesses, or suppressed desires. They force us to confront them head-on. They expose our wounds, but they also show us where we need to grow. 13. Example, think of the fictional relationship between the Joker and Harley Quinn. Dysfunctional? Absolutely. But Harley wasn't just a victim. She found power in her madness, and ultimately she walked away stronger. So, is toxic love always destructive, or can it be a mirror, a lesson, a necessary confrontation with ourselves? So, how this love is able to do what it does to a person, let's break this down further. It forces self-discovery. When someone pushes our buttons, we have two choices, break down or break through. If we choose to confront the fears they expose in us, we grow. It builds resilience. Love that tests us makes us mentally stronger. It teaches us emotional endurance and forces us to develop tools to handle life's harshest realities. It strengthens emotional intelligence. Navigating intense love requires a deep understanding of emotions, communication, and boundaries. Many people who experience toxic love come out more self-aware than those who have only known easy love. There definitely is a fine line between a love that challenges you and a love that destroys you. We're conditioned to think of toxic relationships as something to avoid at all costs. Let me flip the narrative for you. What if, instead of just running, we asked, what is this teaching me? Is it making you more resilient? Is it forcing you to develop self-respect? Is it exposing the wounds you need to heal? For many people, their most challenging relationships led to their greatest transformations. But, and this is crucial, it only works if you evolve from it, not stay stuck in the same patterns. You must be wondering in the struggling times where relationships have become so fragile, what's there in it for you? Studies on attachment theory reveal that people with anxious or avoidant attachment styles often thrive in intense relationships because it forces them to confront their biggest fears. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology suggests that people who face relationship conflict and work through it effectively often develop stronger emotional coping mechanisms than those who avoid conflict entirely. Additionally, neuroscience tells us that intense love, especially one mixed with passion and turmoil, activates the dopamine reward system in our brain, similar to addiction. This explains why we feel so deeply attached and why we keep coming back. But here's what's important. Just because something activates our brain's reward system doesn't mean it's healthy in the long run. The goal should always be growth, not destruction. Neuroscience backs this up. Love, especially passionate love, triggers the same brain pathways as addiction. The dopamine highs, the withdrawals, the craving, it's chemically similar to a drug. In fact, studies show that people in passionate, unstable relationships often have heightened creativity, stronger emotional resilience, and even better problem-solving skills. The struggle, the longing, the uncertainty, it fires up our brains in ways stability doesn't. Does that mean we should seek out pain? No. But it does mean that sometimes pain has a purpose. Let's ask ourselves this. So, is toxic love really so bad? The answer isn't black and white. If a relationship pushes you to confront your fears, grow emotionally, and build resilience without breaking your spirit, then maybe it's not as toxic as we label it. But if it leaves you feeling empty, insecure, or powerless, then it's no longer love. It's a cage. At the end of the day, the question isn't whether a love is toxic. The question is, does this love make you stronger or does it make you disappear? But wait a minute, let's reframe this. Instead of asking, is toxic love bad? What if we ask, what is this relationship revealing about me? Not all storms are meant to destroy you, some are meant to shape you. The challenge is knowing when to fight through it and when to walk away. Final thought. If love is both your greatest weakness and your greatest strength, how will you use it to transform yourself? Let that sink in. To sum it all up, I want you to think about a time when love challenged you the most. Did it break you or did it teach you something about yourself? This is where I leave you with a question. Would you rather have a safe love that keeps you comfortable or a challenging love that forces you to grow? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it.